But you are different in one very important way.
What's that?
I don't think I've ever interviewed a guest who was a drug dealer.
You're listening to Ecosysteming, the podcast redefining economic development through the lens of equitable entrepreneurship. Join NC Idea as we engage with entrepreneurs and experts who are challenging the status quo and driving lasting change.
Welcome, viewers and listeners of the Ecosysteming podcast. I'm your host, Thom Ruhe, and I'm very excited to be in studio with another exciting guest. And let me just say, like all my previous guests, bright beyond words, accomplished, inspirational.
Thank you.
But you are different in one very important way.
What's that?
I don't think I've ever interviewed a guest who was a drug dealer.
Well, technically, based on the new definition of hemp, we are perfectly compliant and not a drug dealer. We're a botanical science dealer.
So, of course, I'm referring to one of our wonderful funded founders, Nicole Vanderhorst, founder and CEO of WH Farms.
Yes.
To say you're an ag entrepreneur, I think would be an understatement, because really WH Farms, and you correct me if I get anything this wrong, and I had to write it down because it's a lot. You are USDA licensed.
Yes, we are.
Vertically integrated.
Yep.
Botanical manufacturing company.
Mm-hmm.
Offering a turnkey solution for businesses and brands, providing everything from private label CBD products like bath bombs and body scrubs to, and I want to emphasize this word, FDA compliant, to FDA compliant marketing. So as a B2B company, you're helping wellness entrepreneurs really realize their own entrepreneurial potential.
Yep. So that is probably where we were when we completed our seed application.
Okay.
Yes. And we've grown a little bit from then. So I will say that our company has evolved quite a bit since that time, where we were more focused on wellness entrepreneurs. We knew that they were excited about getting into the space. The hemp plant was becoming very popular for therapeutic reasons. But as of today, we are still vertically integrated, less of a hemp company, more of a botanical innovation platform. We really do focus on the science in the plant, and we specialize in industrial hemp. We are USDA licensed cultivators of industrial hemp because it's one of the most misunderstood crops in modern agriculture.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been out of the marketplace for so long. It has this association with cannabis, even though it's cannabis adjacent, as opposed to being directly a part of the industry in the way that society thinks about the industry. And there are so many therapeutic benefits that we wanted to explore the science and the plant wisdom in the plant and bring that to life through formulations and ingredients that we sell to physicians, to large Fortune 1000 companies, to international businesses and brands that are interested in really meeting the demand in the wellness industry,
Right.
The industry that is slated to grow to over $9 trillion by 2029.
That's trillion with a T.
With the T.
Yeah.
With the T.
Listen, we're going to get into all this deep, but I don't want to short sell you, because normally I like to give more of the impressive bona fides of my guests. So let me not cut you out of that equation.
Okay.
First of all, like I said, we're going to double click on all things WH Farms, but you are, and this is me being clever, I'm calling it mentor cubed, because among your titles, you have 3 mentorship titles. Mentor at Babson College Center for Women's Entrepreneurship, mentor for the Center for Creative Economy, and our mutual friends there, and Techstar Startup Weekend mentor.
Yeah.
So, do much in your spare time?
We try to be positive and give back.
It's
so important.
I got to tell you, everybody that's been in that seat of our, companies, that's the one thing y'all have in common. That's why we love you so much. Everybody gives back. They understand they're part of something bigger.
That's right.
This thing of ours, as we refer to it.
Yeah.
But, okay, so there's that part. You've also got some bona fides in academia. You studied at the University of Maryland, Duke, and the University of Nice.
Yeah.
Do you speak French?
Oui, je parle un peu français.
Okay, that's what I would have assumed if you were there. Was that some sort of specialty program?
So it was a specialty program. I was an international business major at the University of Maryland. And so I studied a number of my introductory business courses at the University of Nice through their business school. So a lot of macro and microeconomics, some international relations, international law type, courses that it's so funny how long ago that was, but how grateful I am to have developed that type of foundation in
Sure.
business because it has taken this long for the degree to actually be activated.
Oh, to pay off, huh?
Like my mom is like, oh, wonderful. We're finally getting to that international business stuff that you studied like
Better
a
late than
long time
never.
ago. At least it happened, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
So it was a lot of that, I would imagine, that fueled your, frankly, 20 years you spent in our nation's capital
Yeah.
in commercial real estate, Class A space, right? Top shelf.
Top shelf, creme de la creme.
None of that warehouse stuff.
None of that.
But yeah, 20 years in
Yeah.
commercial real estate in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I'd have to imagine, like, D.C., San Francisco, New York, Boston, Chicago, like
Yeah.
that's got to be like a whole different level
It is.
of the game.
Yeah, especially under your own license. I was a licensed general contractor for the last 5 years of my real estate development career. And, the asset costs it was expensive. The risk was high. The debt was high to, be able to turn over properties. And there was a need, especially on the commercial side, to really incorporate LEED certifications. We were building around the time that real eco-friendly design and architecture and building material became more of a forefront in the conversation. Work, live, play communities became more of a forefront in the conversation. So a lot of the modern architecture and planning that I see happening now, these were conversations that, we were having at, various Urban Land Institute events, et cetera, back in those days, really trying to figure out how we can bring people together and multi-generations together and, create, more efficiency with safety and traffic patterns. It was just, I'm a nerd for real estate. I will always be. But yeah, 20 years, long time.
It sounds to me you were doing placemaking before it was a cool, hip term that was like an industry unto itself.
Yeah.
Isn't
I
that
like
something?
being early.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I like being early.
And timely. Which
Timing.
This is our opportunity to do the pivot, right? So then how is it you go from that world to producing a seed to shelf company
Yeah.
in this space? And, tell us now, let's get back into the WH Farms if that's all right.
Yeah.
And, we're shooting this at a time where there's a lot of stuff in the news right now,
Yeah.
and our General Assembly is grappling
Yeah.
with, policy decisions that have
Big consequence.
big consequences.
Yeah.
Big implications.
Yeah.
I think it's consequences for others, less
Not
so
for
than for
us.
you.
Yeah. They say that the new law will wipe out 98% of the industry, and we're the 2% that will stand. We're part of the 2%. So we're proud of that.
All right. Don't give them the goods yet.
Okay.
Let's get back to the origin. Let's start. Okay. And trust me, listeners, viewers, we'll get to this because that is actually the money shot of this conversation.
Thank you.
How WH Farms is poised at this historical moment, and because of your vision.
Yeah.
But let's start with where that vision started.
Yeah.
So that we have context when we get to the payoff moment where you are now.
Absolutely. So I, in my heart of hearts, my first career aspiration was to be a developer, but more of a commercial developer. Shout out to people like Pamela Bundy and some of the large scale developers in the Washington region that were women. Very male dominated space. And I decided that I wanted to really put my all into understanding how to build and develop Class A real estate, and invested a lot of my time and energy. I literally moved next door to my office. Legaman Norman was the company that I was with for about, I think, 12 or 13 years, so that I could walk to work and be there by 5, so that I could then work earlier than everyone else, so that all of my work could be done by the time my supervisors would come in, so that I can then ask for more work so that I could see how I can become promoted. That's how get it how you live, like just very much so going after it. And reached a point of burnout after 15, 16 years. And I was very well awarded, compensated, all of the things, was very grateful for the experience. But the exchange in value, quality of life just didn't make sense for the
Right.
pace and the run. And so that's when I decided to transition into my own, under my license, doing a more boutique development, residential development outfit in DC. And during that time, it was a lot less, heavy on external work, but it was higher risk. I mean, to buy a shell in DC is
So
$500,000.
did you say residential in DC?
Residential, yeah. So
Does
started commercial.
But does DC, I would imagine this, I'm asking because I'm
Yeah,
ignorant to the field, but I would imagine DC maybe more so than some of these other big markets I talked about would have like historical restrictions and
absolutely.
like an extra layer of like
Absolutely. Oh,
just
absolutely. I mean, their licensing and permitting office has so many caveats because of the types of properties that you stumble across in DC.
right.
And then they also have certain laws that benefit squatters. And so you may acquire a property, but then have to
Really?
deal with getting the person out of it when they actually, it's a tenant friendly space. And so it's very complicated navigating that terrain, especially under your own license and as the principal of your projects. And so when I started to go through that experience as an entrepreneur, although I didn't have the heaviness of the workload, I had the risk. And also the delicacy of having to deal with 100% male teams that there's no HR office at your construction site. So, again, yeah.
You mean there could be issues there?
Oh, please. And so that's what made me, develop a very like a comfort with being direct and respectful and respected.
Right.
It goes both ways. And so within that season, my father passes away. And it was a 5-month journey before his decline. And so I was trying to manage projects in DC, driving 3.5 hours to Eastern North Carolina to be with him in the hospital. And as he transitioned, I think it just unlocked a lot of like inner child conversations that I wasn't able to have. And a lot of things that really created a lot of depression and grief and anxiety and a lot of things at the same time. So after he transitioned, I started, seeking medical advice about just what I was experiencing from a behavioral health perspective and how it was impacting me as an entrepreneur because I eat what I kill. So if there are no sick days, there aren't even bereavement days in this world. So it's
Right.
kind of like, I'm trying to figure out like, hey, doc, fix me. Like I got to get back to it. And at the time she, had this wonderful suggestion of, well, why don't we do a combination of prescription as well as talk therapy? And let's just see how that can, start to really progress you. And I just was very uncomfortable with prescriptions. This was a time where we were seeing finally more open conversations about the negative impact of opioids. I didn't understand. I'm a very botanical person. I mean, I like peppermint oil for a headache. So I'm not really into taking medicine to feel better. I've never needed to do that. For those who have and for the medical professionals who advise it, I'm not saying that it's bad for all. It just wasn't for me.
Well, and you were, I mean, if my biographical research is correct, you were a kid of the DARE generation.
I was a DARE representative. I stood on the
What,
stage.
for the benefit of our listeners, why don't you do quick on that? Because that was
Yes.
Nancy Reagan.
Nathan, your
Just
brain.
say no.
Just say no. This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs with the fried egg in the
Yep.
pan. Sheriff James Knight of Edgecombe County was my godfather, and he would put me on the stage and have me talk about just some of the experiences living in that small community where there was a war on drugs and a 2-stoplight town where there were not municipal resources to deal with what happened in the late 80s and the early 90s in
Right.
Eastern North Carolina. So I was a DARE kid for sure. And it was my first time even being interested in something outside of, what is now considered alternative medicine. And it was because of the veterans. The veterans were so vocal about how hemp-derived CBD was helping them with managing anxiety and managing insomnia. And those were all of the things that I was dealing with. And so I was like, what's the harm of me trying this first? Before we go in this direction, would you write me a prescription to go see a facility that could give me a cannabis card so that I'm able to go to a dispensary. I was in Maryland at the time and try different options. And I started with a hemp-derived CBD tincture, and I would put it in my coffee every morning because I'm very ritualistic. Like I like my coffee at the same time, same temperature, I'm a very same type of person.
Habits.
Creature of habit, right?
It's discipline.
So I added my coffee to my tincture to my coffee every morning, and Thom, I literally felt like I was living a new life. Like layers just started to shed. And before I was sprinting through quicksand, trying to keep up while aware that my body and my emotions were just down, right? This tincture, taking it daily, day by day felt my mood lift. Day by day, I felt that my, thoughts weren't running rampant in my mind, but they were appropriately filed in file cabinets. There was a lift of the brain fog, and I could really focus. And there was also a level of calm that caused me not to be as reactive, because when you're dealing with contractors and sometimes they try to be, a little slick, you confront them and they confront you back, it's back and forth. And it was just the type of zen that even they were like, what? I mean,
damn, she's chill.
Yeah, no, not only is she chill, but she's slicing us with her words. We just got to get it together because she's not even arguing. She's just over it. I'm just, and
can
so
I
that's what
interrupt
happened.
you for a second?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that people, because you and I, we recently got together for lunch and we were catching up, and you were telling me all this misinformation, disinformation that you have to battle, all this kind of a stigma and ignorance. And I don't mean that in the pejorative sense. I'm not calling anybody stupid. I'm just saying there's ignorance to this, right?
Yeah.
So when you say I started every morning with, tincture in my coffee, this is not you getting, this is not wake and bake.
No, this isn't wake and bake.
You're not getting.
This is wake and meditate.
Yes. So I just want to be clear on that, right? Because somebody that doesn't understand the space.
Yeah.
And, okay, since, I'm plumbing Q Nicole's depths of her personal life, I'll make a disclosure. I am a daily CBD user.
He loves his Zen.
I have found the benefits of CBD years and years ago. So I want people to understand this is not weed and getting high and Willie Nelson's infused cocktails and all that kind of stuff.
This isn't Cheech and Chong. So here's the thing. Very quick, very, basic ag definition. So the cannabis sativa plant is a scientific name of the plant, has 2 species, one marijuana, one hemp. Hemp is the cousin of marijuana, but it is not marijuana. What makes it different is that it has less than 0.3% THC on a dry weight basis. Cheech and Chong, Willie Nelson, the stuff that weed is 30+% THC. Nothing compared to what we are conversing about. But hemp has
your communion wine
is more.
Will affect
oh my
you
gosh!
more
Oh my gosh! Absolutely.
The tincture of CBD.
Yeah, and it has a 6,000-year plus track record.
Is that all?
Of all that we can trace, right? That it shows this ancient botanical wisdom and how it's worked across multiple cultures and civilizations around the world for pain management, for its anti-inflammatory qualities, for its muscle relaxation qualities, insomnia relief, therapeutic benefits that are, and not that we're making any FDA claims, this is just the testimonials and the historical research that's out there about the plant. No, highly misunderstood.
Very misunderstood. And it's important. The reason I'm teasing this point out, dear listener, is that, and I'm not going to steal any of Q Nicole's story here, but I'm going to tee it up. Here is a high growth, high impact startup in an ag state with an ag opportunity to feed a exciting, limitless potential with a new crop and strain. And you're struggling to raise money. You're struggling to be supported in the way, a couple bros from the Triangle with a SaaS-based company to, help B2B, insert, blank here.
AI.
It's like this is it's frustrating to me, and
Yeah.
I'm letting my bias get out right now. Maybe I should have had a tincture before we got on this episode. But it's maddening to me because I look at it and go, this is the future,
Thank you.
like, of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship
Yeah.
in this state in particular,
Yeah.
and the jobs it's creating. I know you're recently
Absolutely.
adding to your staff,
Yeah.
and the fact that you've been taking and you've been getting meetings. Let's be real. Let's bring it. Let's bring it, and
Yeah.
let's be real. People we all know, people that are probably tuning in.
Yeah.
You've had a sit down with this incredible founder, and you've misunderstood the play here.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I'm really pulling on this is because I have no doubt you're going to be wildly successful,
Thank you.
and you're going to get help. The capital stack will help and be
Yeah.
a participant. But unless some people invest in their own education,
Yeah.
that benefit is going to inure to people, to funders outside the state.
Outside of the state, that's one of the hardest things as a startup, early stage founder in this market, knowing that we are the number 3 ag state in the country, knowing the type. And first, let me say that we are more of a white coat company than we are a retail brand, and that's where people they confuse us. They think that we want to be a branded product on everyone's shelf. We want to be a branded ingredient in everyone's product. I mean, we really want to elevate the science. We want to meet the demand of more traceable, trustworthy botanicals inside of these personal care goods for people and pets, large industries, large opportunities.
FDA certified.
FDA certified. We are GMP and ISO certified and USDA licensed. And those are accomplishments that we achieved as a bootstrap company because we knew even though the checks didn't get cut, we still had to keep going. Like, at the end of the day, we want what we need, but the lack of having it isn't enough for me not to put everything on the line and go get it. And so fortunately I do agree. We have been miscategorized and the industry is absolutely booming. There's so many industries that are looking for new innovation. And I think that that's what we offer. And so we are excited to have some support from the state with the Forsyth County Building Reuse Grant.
That was October of 2025.
Yep.
Yes.
So we are we will be bringing a facility to Forsyth County. We have other grants from state agencies to help with some of our equipment purchases. We were just recently backed by SBA, Stearns Bank. Thank you. They offered us a 7A. So we've been,
How does the
having
SBA fund drug dealers.
They don't. Which then means that with this due diligence that they definitely did, we must be that squeaky clean. We actually, of the entire industry that you're referring to, only 3% is exporting, and we're one of the 3%. So we are backed by federal, state, and international agencies as we grow and expand this industry. And again, we are about the science in the product and in the bottle.
Are you exporting into the EU?
So we are. We are.
And, I've heard, and one of my previous guests, Doug Spade from Max Nano, their prospects for what they do PFAS remediation. It's actually they're seeing more upside potential in the EU because apparently there's a little more, at the moment, there's more priority and emphasis about like keeping forever chemicals out of water in the EU than as it should be here in the
States. A little bit for you community.
Do you find that to be similar?
Yeah, 100%. So a couple things. In this industry, because industrial hemp is adjacent to cannabis, and because we are the farm, so we kind of get grouped into the big cannabis conversation. This is a very state by state regulated product or crop, but in other countries it's not. And so we also found that because regulations are more progressive in other countries, there's also a different social acceptance.
Right.
It's already being integrated into, a variety of retail locations, and it doesn't have the same fight for commercialization as it does in the U.S. And so we started exporting in early 24. We actually went 0% with our formulations in late 23, early 24. So before the hemp ban, we were already postured and positioned to grow internationally, but we weren't able to kind of help investors understand the opportunity that we had and the way in which we were able to really capture market share. So we've, continued to move forward. We've just launched and launched our pathways in 4 different new countries, but we definitely have benefited from following a pathway that I think I've been able to kind of like perceive based on my previous experience working in deregulation.
I think you're glossing over something, because I think it's genius how you are positioned at this moment.
Thank you.
And I mean, I've only known you since 2022, but I mean, it wasn't a hard decision, to give you the seed grant.
Thank you.
It was a fairly easy. So, what would you attribute? If it feels like I'm rambling, but let me try to land the plane here. It feels like you kind of could see that this moment was coming.
Yeah.
How did you know to do that? Or was the calculus like, hey man, you can always go into THC, or you can always go in, it would be easy to flex that way, but very hard to go the other way? Or
Yeah.
how did you know to be ready for this moment?
Yeah, so I'm grateful. First of all, I have to say I'm a believer. I'm a Jesus girl, so shout out to the Holy Spirit. I definitely appreciate the downloads. And when I was in commercial real estate, I built an energy brokerage in a regulated industry while energy was deregulating. And so I've been able to see patterns and trends and regulatory changes that bring value to industry, because industry is built through regulation. It's not built through popularity. It's the infrastructure is developed through regulation. And so when I received the go ahead, if you will, to say, this is going to be your space. I want you to build in this space. And I'm just thinking like, well, it's like having like being a quarterback, like where exactly are you going to throw the ball? And I was really looking at the industry and I said, non-psychoactive is going to be huge compared to psychoactive. My mother, who's 82, loves her hand. I have some hand cream in my bag, loves her hand cream, love her balms, would never smell it or smoke it. She just
Right.
isn't interested. And when you start to think about the aging community, there's so many needs that they have that this plant can help with.
No doubt.
When you think about the pet community, they can't smoke, but they can certainly appreciate the various products that can help them with their nervous system. And so that was my bet. My original goal was we want to really establish the infrastructure for what this industry will become from a personal care goods perspective, because non-psychoactive is going to eventually outweigh psychoactive, popularity.
Yeah, I hope there are potential funders watching this, because you just revealed so much insight as a founder, right? And when they like to say, hey, we bet on the jockey and not the horse, with you, they've got somebody that understands, I'm going to throw the ball, to use your analogy, I'm going to throw the ball where the receiver's going to be,
Yeah,
not where he is at the moment,
exactly.
right? Because it's about forward momentum. Let's see how much we can torture this metaphor. And that's so much to your credit. And that's why I wanted to
Thank
suss
you.
that out a little bit more, because to you, it's second nature,
Thank
right?
you.
And it's a common feature I see in these interviews with these accomplished founders. It's tacit knowledge. My good friend Gary Schoniger would always say at the Entrepreneurial Mindset, it's tacit knowledge,
Yeah.
right? There's masters in certain things, and if you ask them, well, how do you do that? They really can't tell you, but they do it,
Yeah.
and it's because it's second nature to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And for you, and for all of us that have this kind of mastery of anything, that comes through your lived experiences,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
We are the sum of our experiences.
Yeah.
So those 20 years in that real estate grind prepared you
Yeah.
for the grind you got now.
Yeah.
That's in
And that's why
front
I'm
of
having
you.
so much fun with it. I think that I am so accustomed to hard work. It's like, oh, great work. We like this.
One more little stroll down biographical lane. So we did a thing about you, just a little, get to know our companies.
Okay.
And one of the questions we gave you back then was, when did you know you wanted to take an entrepreneurial path? And I apologize for bringing this out there, but it's so funny because you gave
I don't know what I said.
oh, I'm going to tell you what you said. I'm going to quote you. You said, I knew I wanted to take an entrepreneurial path when the potential to be a great contributor to society urging from within me could no longer be silenced. even in slumber.
Oh, yeah.
Is that your fancy way of saying it was keeping you up at night?
It would wake me up out of my sleep. I had a great corporate job. I mean, great corporate job. And it was not during the time of social media.
Right.
So entrepreneurship was not that cool.
No.
I had an office.
Or that easy, I would say.
I had a car allowance. They took me to pick out my car. I mean, I had a great corporate gig. My mom would come up from Pine Tops, North Carolina, and she would say, "Oh, that's one of your buildings." It was just a thing.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, Urge, you should be doing more. What? Like, what? And then it just became my tolerance and taste for my own mediocrity became disgusting to me. There was more to give.
Wow. Harsh on
There was
yourself
more to
much?
give. There was more to give. There was more to do. There was more. It's like, okay, you have eaten from the table. Get up now. It's time to get to work. I told you 5 years and I stayed 10 because it was such a good gig. But he had told me, speaking to the Holy Spirit, 5 years. And I just was like, I'm going to stick around for 5 more. Fortunately, I saved really well because I had to invest multiple hundreds of thousands into this business to move it forward. So, but yeah, I am a vessel. I recognize that as such. My role here is to receive, produce, is supposed to create economic impact for others, the farmers, the benefit of the formulations to the patients. This isn't me. This is what's supposed to work through me. That's what I'm supposed to bring into the company, build the company from, help people with. It's all about getting it out. And if you ever get comfortable, you don't get it out.
I had to pause for that line because that was beautiful. If you ever get comfortable, you don't get it out.
You don't get it out.
And there's a lot of truth in that. And, to that point, again, that flowing of generosity is also, and I should point this out, for aspiring entrepreneurs that are watching this, if you want further inspiration, follow Q Nicole, watch what she puts out there because I think it's a little bit more recently, like, and by recent, I mean like in the last couple of years, you've been more vocal on self-care.
Yeah.
As founders.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, it is hard. Sorry. This stuff is hard.
Yeah.
Right. And like,
care for yourself.
Invest in yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Because if you're broken, you can't do this.
Can't get it out.
You can't plow the field with a broken plow.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. We sometimes glamorize the grind. Right. I've got a nephew. He had a magical summer last summer working he had a co-op at Planted.
Oh, wow.
Very exciting.
Shout out
company.
to Planted.
Shout out to Planted. Shout out to Huadatan who, took him in. He had a great experience there. They've already offered to hire him, but he's on a 5-year master's program. But this summer, and I think with an assist to Huada, he's spending this summer at SpaceX.
Wow.
And so I recently caught up with him. I called him. I said, how's it going? It was on a Sunday at 11 a.m. And he said, I'd woken him up. And I said, hey, Junior, a little late, right? 11 a.m. And he's like, Uncle Tommy, I was at work until 2 a.m. last night. And I said, oh, so is that the way it is there, the grind? And he said, the days are blurring.
Yeah.
Like meals, I'm losing weight. And I said, all right, is that healthy?
Yeah.
And to his credit, because he is mature beyond his years. He's like, no. And the way he's explained to me is like, he said, I have told myself my 20s, that's the decade that I'm going to be overworked. I'm going to be abused, but I'm doing it with eyes wide open.
That's right.
And as long as I'm learning something and I'm part of something important, I'm willing to make that investment.
Yeah.
But to his credit, he knows it's not long term.
Right.
That is rare. And when people like you vocalize the importance of paying attention to that, don't hit that wall.
Yeah.
Understand, my producer, Christian, he's a big time runner and rock climber. He doesn't go climbing when he's tired and feeling strained. As a matter of fact, he was on a climb where the last thing he heard from somebody that was climbing next to him was the climber said, and I think I'm getting this right, oh, I'm feeling tired today. And then moments later, she fell and had a very catastrophic injury, right? I don't mean to be that extreme and dramatic, but that's the consequence.
Yeah, no, you have to be mindful of your engine and knowing, its age and where it is in its journey and what it can produce. I do believe that there is a time and a season for everything. I am not, this isn't characteristic of my gender, but you know, I don't believe the Bible says that laziness is just almost deplorable, right? Like when you read about laziness in Proverbs, he doesn't mince his words at all to make it very clear. I look at your field, I see why it is the way it is. You're lazy, right? Working is a part of answering prayers. You can't pray for something and not be willing to walk it out. You can't pray for something and not be willing to put it on the line. And so I do believe there is a season for work. I don't mince work. I don't have a problem. And I don't like working around people who have a problem with work. I don't like working around people who think that they can just magically have something or they're entitled to it and they can't construct the work that goes into it. It's just, to me, the silliest thing ever. I just let them talk because it's just like old-fashioned work has outproduced a lot of just fun, fascinating ideas that can't get any lift off of the ground because there's no work ethic behind it, right? So I do think that in your 20s, you do need to lay it on the line. I think that in your 30s, you need to make harder decisions. You need to take more risk. You need to get around different environments and do different things. And, if you are still playing around with it or, diving into something in your 40s, then at that point, you should be signing your name with it. Whatever it is, it needs to be your signature. This isn't the time to like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It was funny. I had a VC say to me once, it's like, oh, I wouldn't invest in a woman who's over the age of 40 unless she's put 100,000 of her own into the business. I said, what about 400? Like
I can't help but say that's just an ignorant statement.
But we get these statements as women in business.
I know.
I mean, that's the mildest of the statements that we get sometimes as women business owners. But I think that work has its place for sure. And balance does as well. And that nervous system regulation piece is, I think, a good litmus test because we can't operate out of frazzled nature. It just doesn't work well.
We can't. And you know what else? We also know that our success is shared
That's right.
by others.
That's right.
And I'm not asking for any recognition. We already mentioned we were happy to put early money
NC Idea
into.
was the first 50,000 in our capitalization strategy. And you were our first pitch competition.
Good.
I was so nervous that I spent the night in a hotel and practiced all night and all morning so that I can make sure the Q&A. I was so nervous. So thank you for what you guys do, for sure. It was amazing. Thank you.
But I want to broaden the tent. Because I know, you've been involved in Launch CLT, you're at Winston Starts. These are all people and partners, that we fund and we collaborate with because it does, this ecosystem, this thing of ours that we like calling it, and we mean it, not ours as in it belongs to NC Idea, it's ours as in it's partly yours, it's partly ours, it's partly Winston Starts.
Yeah.
And the more we all support it, the more we all put into it, the more, comes from it.
Yeah.
More of it, what you put in, you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
And y'all get that, right? That's why I think you have the support and, you're putting employees and farmers to work in Beaufort County, I believe.
Beaufort County, and we also work with a number of farmers that were impacted by Hurricane Helene as well.
So both ends of the state.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was a new program.
Dropping a knowledge bomb on me. And, we have very close friends and partners in that part of the state as well. And they still.
Yeah.
People think, for a lot of people, Helene is ancient history.
Yeah.
It isn't out there.
Yeah. And that's been our goal as a company, is to lift the entire state up. We wanted to really economically benefit disadvantaged farmers. Our farm in particular plus other farms as our capacity grew on our production side. We wanted to bring forth we are known as a biotech state. We're known for our innovation in over-the-counter products and formulation. We're known as a consumer brand manufacturing state. So we feel that WH Farms Co. kind of brings the essence of who North Carolina is to the forefront and makes us a global player in really providing this botanical science into these formulations and products around the world.
So to that end, for you to realize that grand vision,
Yeah,
I'm guessing, I'm giving you the floor to state it for a fact, that you could probably use some working capital. You could probably do a
absolutely.
raise right now. So
Yeah.
if there's a chance funder watching and tuning into this, why don't you, here's your chance, put your ask out there and what's the opportunity
Yeah.
and why should I back you?
Yeah. So the opportunity is to really be a part of leading and pioneering an industry channel where the botanical science of hemp, a new crop that we're exploring, is meeting the demand not only for wellness individuals and companies, but just a growing demand of the cannabis plant from a non-psychoactive perspective in the both people and pets personal care goods space. It is the industry size is about $82 billion is where it's expected to be in the next 4 or 5 years. And our goal is to reach a small fraction of that, but to do so with global reach and, see an exit within the next 5 years. And so we're raising $1 million. And that $1 million will go toward working capital. It will work in conjunction with some additional SBA funding for our facility in Winston-Salem. It will also help to create more international distribution pathways in countries that we've already researched and we've developed relationships within. And so we're really excited about also lifting up the science, the IP, really understanding the innovation that we have within this state. The woman who created or developed the concept around the endocannabinoid system is from the Wake Forest School of Medicine.
No kidding.
So the scientist that discovered medical cannabis is in this state, and she's the godmother of the industry. And so we're able to work with these phenomenal botanical scientists and medical scientists to develop formulations and ingredients that businesses and brands around the world are looking for. So we really are excited to just have some more gas in our tank because we're ready to move at a pace that not only helps us to grow domestically but internationally.
All right, and I'm going to put the period at the end of the sentence. And again, FDA cleared,
Absolutely.
legal.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do
And the
with
hemp ban doesn't impact us at all. We bring
any of it.
products to finished goods. All of our products are 0% THC. The new hemp ban says everything has to be less than 0.4 milligrams THC. That's not a problem for us. So we actually were able to hold out until the federal clarity and framework was developed so that now we are infrastructurally ready to run. So we have a great team that's really excited about an infusion of capital.
That's awesome. Let's hope we aren't going to be ceding your success to people that were visionary enough from other states to come in the capital stack. We'll continue to be a fan and do what we can.
Thank you.
Obviously. But I want to thank you, personally, professionally for what you do. On the personal level, you're just an inspiration.
Thank
like so
you.
many of the people we have the good fortune to rub shoulders with. And then professionally, we just had our 2025 micro grantees complete their cohort and they did their final presentations the other day. And one of them came up to me and said, we so much appreciate what you've done for us. What can we do for you? And I like to say to them, just be wildly successful, right? That's what you do that shows
Thank you.
appreciation of us, because when you're wildly successful, it validates what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then a little bit tongue in cheek, and I'll say this for you as well, when you have that big exit,
Yeah, we're just coming back to pour.
right? I think if it's a 7-figure exit, that's what do we think, Christian? That's like a 2x your grant. If it's an 8-figure
Whatever it
exit,
is,
that's a 5 to 10x. And if it's a 9-figure exit,
you need to see some big checks.
come on,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
We'll make it the Nicole investment fund.
Okay.
We'll name the
figure it out.
dollars
We'll
over here.
get some more women in position as well.
But I mean, you want to talk about flywheel? That's going to be it. And man, I can't thank you enough
Thank
that you're going to
you.
be a big part of that.
Thank you. I look forward to
You
it.
and the several hundred others we have funded. So thank you for being you, being true to yourself and sharing yourself
Thank you.
as you do. I know that takes courage. Putting your stories out there,
Yeah.
living your true self,
Yeah.
not the self we curate on Facebook and
Right.
Instagram,
Yeah.
but the true self. You do.
Nice and authentic.
You do. And that I'll never take that for granted. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So with that said, viewers, listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did shooting it. It is always just it's one of the coolest parts of my job, being able to talk with people like this fine angel here.
Thank you.
But we're always open to ideas. So if you've got any, let us know, topics or guests, and maybe you'll see it on the next episode of the Ecosysteming Podcast.